What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about all things balancing grad school and a full-time job and how I do it all. If the question is how do I do it all and how do I balance it, the answer is I don't know. And also the answer is I don't. I'm being dramatic here, but I wanted to share with you some strategies and tips on how I balance grad school and my full-time career. It's not the easiest, but it can be done. And it's even more difficult now trying to get through school than it was when I was an undergrad. And I thought undergrad it wasn't easy, but it also was not. I mean, I was a full-time student, so I didn't have to worry about being a full-time career woman as well. A lot of times it can feel like you are walking a tightrope and there is no net underneath to catch you if you fall. That is exactly the feeling how I would describe it sometimes. Believe me, been there, done that. I've been in this game now for I'm a third of the way done, so 4 semesters. And it is not for the faint of heart, I can promise you that, but it's doable. And so in today's video, I'm sharing with you some strategies and kind of ways to work around being able to do this, because it is difficult balancing a full-time job and grad school. No one said it was going to be easy. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so if you're new here, I work full-time and I also balance full-time with school. And by full-time, I mean 1 class a semester, because that is all I can afford financially. Even that is a lot to deal with. However, it's a pace that works for me, keeps things manageable without burning me out. Now, I did take a brief hiatus earlier this year because I was trying to pursue a paralegal certificate at the same time, which I did. Now, I have not taken the certification exam for that yet. However, plans to do that this year, hopefully. But this pace works for me. And doing 1 class a semester, fall and spring, is doable, it's manageable, and I can save up the tuition money. Okay, so there's that. Actually, recently, the University of Florida decided to partner with a company that allows pay in installments. It's kind of like Affirm or Klarna or those Afterpay. I know everyone's heard of Afterpay, maybe, which is nice. However, this one, unfortunately, there are fees associated with that. So you end up paying about $100 more for your tuition. However, it is better than having to pay in one lump sum, because nothing is worse than having to do that. Anyway, taking 1 class at a time and being strategic with your course selection is important, but also use your job to your advantage. You can use your full-time job or industry as your case study if it's relevant to your degree. I did this when I started my first semester at UF for grad school, and it's worked out wonderfully. In fact, in spring of 23, before I took my last fall hiatus, I did an analysis of all of the law firms within my area, including a lot of the big names that you see on TV. And one of the things that was a trend at the time was omni-channel marketing. And at that time, not a lot of firms were doing omni-channel marketing. And now all of a sudden I see an announcement the other day from one of the firms who recently in 2024 started posting to Instagram that they are now on TikTok, even though that's about to potentially be banned, but it probably won't be, maybe. And I'm like, well, there you go. There is omni-channel marketing in action. So using the industry I'm in as a case study has helped me along the way. It helps you understand the topics a little bit more deeply. It's more than just hypotheticals. And for me, what I found is that grad school, it's a lot of project-based work. And some of it you might call busy work, okay, like discussion posts. But there is a point to it all. So when I first started in grad school, using my career as an industry as a case study was actually critical. And ultimately, it has served me very well doing that. So I highly recommend that. Realistically, balancing grad school and full-time job is not that bad, okay? It does sound like a lot. Some people, believe me, you don't envy me, but it's doable and it's manageable. So now I'm gonna get to the actual point of this video and kind of just walk you through my strategies. The first step, understanding your workload. This is your workload for the course and your workload for your actual job. Now, the two do not tie together. However, Taking only one class a semester helps me feel like I'm in control of things. Am I drowning? Yeah. Because I go to work 5 days a week, work 40 hours a week, sometimes more, and then come home and bust my butt trying to get grad school homework done within 2 days. So yeah, sometimes it is a lot. No final exam I've had has been an actual exam. It's always some big project where you have to have 1,000,000 pieces to put together for the final project. If you were to apply this strategy to, like, say, a different industry, like if you work, I don't know, for South by Southwest, you would obviously never take classes during the South by Southwest event, period, if you could manage that. It's things like that. So the second part is course selection strategies. Now, the way that it works for me, I have to take all these courses that are listed on my degree audit detail. I don't get to pick the one. I think you get to pick maybe 4 that you can actually take that are electives. Everything else is required. They're all core classes. So I really don't have a say in which ones I get to take, essentially. But one thing I do make sure I do is look at the syllabi and see, is that class going to be a pain to deal with? At the end of the day, you're gonna have to take the course anyway, but it just depends on how long you can wait to take the course, nonetheless. My number one tip with this is just to look at the syllabi and see if you think, based on reading said syllabi, that the course is going to be a pain in the neck. Now, another thing is, instead of using something called Rate My Professor, you may have heard of this back in the day, it's no longer really valid. It's not really kept up to date from what I can tell, but the nice thing about the University of Florida in particular is that we have something called Gator Evals. And Gator Evals allow students to critique their professors. And you can actually go and look up a professor and see what their scores were. And actually, it's funny because last semester, I, for probably the first time ever, left a Gator evaluation for my professor, and it was very detailed, but it was only the professor's second course, and I would want a student to do the same for me if I were a new professor on the block, which one day that will be a thing, but nonetheless. I'm not afraid to provide feedback anymore to my courses and my professors because I think they can learn from it too. And last semester, I did have a come to Jesus, so to speak, with the professor. And I basically told him, I said, listen, there are a lot of people in this program who probably are full-time students. So it would be great if you would just in the future, for future classes, not have 3 heavy written assignments due in the same weekend. It makes no sense. And it's honestly not necessary. Now, I know they're trying to meet capstones, all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to be honest, last semester was rough on me. I did come out of the class with an A-, I'm pretty sure, but oh my gosh, it was pulling teeth. I was honest in my Gator evaluation, so I'm doing it for everybody else, all the other students, so I just want to say look at the Gator evals, because then you know what, which ultimately, when it comes down in this program in particular, there's only one professor for each course you have to take, so you're kind of just stuck with the professor no matter what. But fortunately, the professors are all good. I don't think I've had an issue with any professor up till this date. In fact, my very first class that I took for my master's program, the professor was awesome. Even though I made an A- in the class, she actually provided examples of what an A looked like in the class for every single assignment. And I was like, this is my dream. Hello? But anyway, so the professor assigned like 3 assignments in one weekend, and my grade suffered as a result. And so that's why I felt it was necessary for me to provide Gator evaluation feedback to the professor, but nonetheless. So one day, Professor Pickett is going to be a thing. I'm putting it out there now. That's the whole reason I am pursuing graduate studies, is because I would like to teach one day, to be a career woman and also be an adjunct professor. Maybe even at the University of Florida, I don't know. And it's funny because students who have a full-time job, if they ever come into my class, they're going to appreciate me because I was there, I am there, and I'll remember this because I will never, if I can get away with it, assign a discussion post, initial post due on Thursday nights. Not a chance. The first email I ever get with the salutation, "Dear Professor Pickett," I will literally frame it. I really will. Next is leveraging your online resources. And what I mean by online resources is Google Calendar, Notion, whatever you need to use to keep track of your assignments. Fortunately, Canvas, I showed a little shortcut video a few months ago, well actually a long time ago now, at least over 6 months ago, where I showed how to download Canvas as a shortcut. You can also, the Canvas app has honestly improved on iPhone, so that's good, and you get notifications. Using your resources, Notion, I know Notion is an app that you do pay for, but it is worth it, and also Google Calendar, which is free, to sync up your assignments so that you can see when they're due, etc., etc. Staying on top of that. But for me, especially in my sort of situation, everything's due on Sunday night at 11:59. So there's that. But using your online resources such as Google Calendar is so helpful. Also, Google Drive is your friend, y'all. Google Docs is your friend. I will never forget, I had a professor when I was at Santa Fe, when I was still in high school and I was in college classes. I had a professor tell us that, he was so rude about it too, but he was like, you need to have Gmail, you need to have Google Drive. It is not my fault if your computer crashes. You have no excuses, blah, 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 blah. And so my Gmail was born. Obviously it was effective. He could have delivered that a little bit nicer, but nonetheless, I think I made an A in that class. Anyway, nonetheless. But yes, Google Drive, Google Docs, free, 5 gigabytes. Utilize it, it's your friend, okay? Thank you, have a nice day. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure, I know UF does this, but you have access to like Google Drive or something, either Google Drive or OneDrive, to store documents if you wanted to. So just throwing that out there too. Again, leverage your online resources. Probably even more so than you did undergrad. Next is time management. So for me, in my situation, I typically push everything to the weekend because I don't want to mess with it during the week. Truly. I'm gonna say one of my New Year's resolutions is to actually look at my, Canvas for the week, at least on Monday night. Do I feel like even touching any of that typically? No. But I'm going to try to be better about looking at it during the work week. It is difficult though, because then I'm up till midnight and I still have to be at my best the next day when I go to work, which is why I push it to the weekend. My weekends, when I'm in school, I don't do anything except schoolwork. And there's only been a few times where I've had to take PTO, like when a professor makes the due date of an assignment on Friday before spring break. I'm thinking to myself, excuse me, but I'm a working full-time professional. I don't get a spring break. So I end up having to take a last-minute PTO day to get the assignment done because it's due on Friday night. I hope I never have to deal with that again, but I digress. Ultimately, you're prioritizing based on deadlines. Usually everything's due, for me at least, 11:59 on Sunday. And usually there's an initial discussion post due on Thursday night. But typically, what I do Saturday, I am all business when it comes to trying to look at my assignments, figure out what needs to be done. I try to print out everything at the beginning of the week so it can be in the back of my mind and I can read over it, especially when I have a lunch break and I can just look at the stuff. I am somebody who likes something that's tangible. I like to print out stuff. That's why I bought a nice LaserJet printer that was $500 so I could print things out in color, because the colors to me, for some reason, register in my brain. I think it's the way I learn, but nonetheless. I typically will push everything to Saturday. Go on Saturday, rest on Saturday night, and then Sunday morning I'm up and at 'em, ready to tackle the rest of it and get it done. And I guess I work well under pressure considering, but nonetheless, I am pedal to the metal on the weekends. And actually I will say too, I honestly tend to enjoy my job even more when I'm in school, because I feel like my weekends, especially when you're young and you're in the beginning of your career, you tend to have doubts and question yourself and think to yourself, am I in the right place? Am I working for the right place? Am I in a situation where I can grow? And you, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Am I doing enough? But ultimately, school is kind of a distraction from that. And you have to understand that you're also trying to accomplish a bigger goal. And your job is the vehicle that helps you do that. Because if you think about it, you have a good salary, you have a relaxed work environment, you have all these things that are conducive to being able to get through graduate school. Next, avoiding burnout. I have literally had to remove myself from my house and go down to a coffee shop or go somewhere else to do my schoolwork, just to remove myself from the environment, because changing the environment helps so much. I've gone to the office. I have gone to a coffee shop. I've gone down the road to Starbucks. I've gone wherever. It really just depends. You can, now, of course, you need to have the money to be able to buy yourself a cup of coffee or whatever to be able to sit in the Starbucks or the coffee shop or whatever, but it's worth it. Another thing that I think helps prevent burnout in these situations is honestly making time for yourself. So one thing I've been doing as of late is having my groceries delivered, because that has honestly changed my life. I no longer have to go and spend an hour and 45 minutes, which, mind you, if you think about what you make per hour, is the cost of having your groceries delivered more or less than what you make per hour. If it's less, then it is therefore worth it to have it done. Now, I know I have my groceries delivered. It is a lifesaver. In fact, I need to actually place an order right now. Having your groceries delivered saves time. You don't have to worry about going all the way to the Target or Winn-Dixie or wherever what you're gonna eat. You can just plan it, put it in the app, hit deliver to me, and it's done. It's so much easier. It's something like that that really just helps you. Like, that has helped me over the last few months, because I'm now spending more time at home and I feel like I'm getting more rest, and that feels better to me. But also with like daylight savings, it's so dark now that like the days are so much shorter, but now we're on the other side of that, so the days are getting longer again. But still, something like getting your groceries delivered is so helpful, especially, you work full time, so you have the money to do so, and it's a little extra to do it, but it's worth it. So like I said earlier, I also take summers off. This is another reason to avoid burnout. I take summers off because during the summer, the semester is condensed. It's more work in less time. So I don't even bother trying to take a summer class, but I do that out of financial necessity as well as just wanting to take a break. It's like, okay, I just got to get to April. Just got to get to the end of April, then we're smooth sailing until August, and it's a break. It's time for me to finally relax and enjoy myself. Now, this past summer, I was pedal to the metal on my paralegal course, and I got it done. And I'm really proud of myself for that, because I thought I was never going to get it done, especially after when I started the course and then tort reform happened, and then all of a sudden I was working weekends doing discovery. But nonetheless, it all worked out for a reason, but I got it done. I also, in avoiding burnout, paying for tuition is a huge expense. So what do? I've already talked about the fact that the University of Florida has partnered with a payment partner that allows you to pay an installment. I also save money every single month for tuition. For me, it's about $200, and by the time the next semester rolls around, I've got enough money in savings to be able to pay it in full, but I don't, because I prefer to still have a little bit of extra money in my bank account, earn a little bit more interest, also have money in case of emergencies. Now, the $200 that I'm saving is just for grad school. I also have other savings, but nonetheless. And going back to burnout, which is what we're still talking about, you see a lot of, at least I think I've seen in the people I've talked with, and especially with vendors and stuff in marketing, a lot of tech-oriented companies have these spaces where their employees can go and take meetings with a laptop or whatever that's different from their desk. This is one way I think is avoiding burnout, and it's the same kind of concept with leaving and going somewhere else to go do your schoolwork or what have you. Ultimately, for me, it has worked. So there you have it, a very long, detailed, ranty explanation of how I balance grad school and working full-time, and how I do it all. I still don't know how I do it all. Sometimes when people ask, I don't. But, reality is I'm doing it, sometimes flying by the seat of my pants, as they say. But ultimately, you can do it. Don't be discouraged. And if you want to pursue graduate courses and graduate studies while working full-time, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. And that is the message of this entire video. There are ways to do it. There are ways to make your life easier while trying to pursue your goals. So with that being said, that's all I have to say in today's long-winded video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. And I will see you all in the next video.